Nashville, Tennessee is a city with a worldwide reputation for its musical heritage and Southern roots. But there is so much more to know about living in Nashville. Moving to Nashville, Tennessee 10 years ago was one of the best decisions of my life, and the city continues to surprise me in both good and bad ways. If you really want to know what it's like living in Nashville, from the temperature to the traffic, and the most surprising aspect of all, which may keep me here permanently, I'm gonna give you my honest takes on life in Nashville, and I'm getting started right now. One of my favorite things about life since I moved to Nashville is that people here are so friendly and helpful. Nashville culture is rooted in the ideals of Southern hospitality mixed with an idealistic entrepreneurial spirit. That entrepreneurial spirit helped drive me to become a local realtor here, which has been my career for the last several years in Nashville, and I absolutely love it. If you are considering a move to Nashville, my team and I would be so honored to help you make a smooth move and buy that perfect home. So don't hesitate to give me a call, text, or email. You can find all my contact info in the description. Now, since I've already alluded to it, let's talk about Nashville's diverse culture. One thing I had no clue about when I moved to Nashville is just how much of a melting pot the city really is. So many people that live here are transplants, and I rarely meet a Nashville native. The Southern hospitality you hear so much about is alive and well in Nashville, but it also has that modern city vibe that so many people love when they move here. Now, all that being said, when I say diverse culture, I'm not really alluding to demographics, but rather what the experience of living here feels like. I've taken drives around the circumference of Nashville, and it can be pretty shocking how different and diverse even the look of the Nashville metro is. With the arts, entertainment, craft brewing scene, and more, it really feels like you're living in at least 2 or 10 different cities at once. Of course, Nashville is known for being Music City and for having a strong music culture, but the truth of living in Nashville is music isn't everything. In fact, on a day-to-day basis, music isn't really a topic of conversation here for those who aren't in the industry. Don't get me wrong, music is a big deal in Nashville, and with nearly 200 live music venues, residents have proven to have a strong appetite for it. So if you are looking to move somewhere where music is a strong part of the culture, you absolutely cannot go wrong with Nashville. But just realize you are more likely to have conversations with people about how the Titans did in last night's game than the artist that just played at the Bridgestone Arena. Speaking of the Titans, you need to know that Nashville is a serious sports town, because I honestly had no clue when I moved to Nashville. And it's not just in the fall football season when those aforementioned Tennessee Titans play. Nashville has several sports teams keeping the action alive year-round, with the NHL's Nashville Predators, the Nashville Soccer Club, and the Nashville Super Speedway for NASCAR fans. We also have the popular Nashville Sounds minor league baseball team, as well as an enthusiastic college sports scene at Vanderbilt University. Like I alluded to earlier, if you are making small talk in Nashville, you can bet sports is gonna come up. Again though, Nashville is a diverse town, and with all the creative musicians moving here, the town has also become packed with creativity. Nashville has a fascinating and diverse art scene separate from its brilliant music scene. Now, don't get this next part confused because I'm about to use a couple F words. The Frist Art Museum, built in the Art Deco style, is one of the more popular art showcases in Nashville for good reason. I recently saw a comprehensive display of the works of Beatrix Potter at the Frist that really surprised me. We also have the first Saturday art crawl here in downtown Nashville, occurring, you guessed it, the first Saturday of every month, featuring art galleries from renowned artists at a very reasonable cost. Free. From the Nashville Film Festival, the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and quirky events like the Tomato Art Fest, I haven't even scratched the surface of the creativity that is on display in Nashville. Now, the first Saturday art crawl may have a reasonable cost, but what about Nashville's cost of living? Well, much like everywhere in the nation, here in 2023, the cost of living in Nashville has certainly been on the rise. But what does the data actually say? Thankfully, this is one area where Nashville is a little more appealing than many other major metro areas around the US. As of my most recent research, the cost of living in Nashville is at about 98 on the cost of living index, meaning Nashville is about 2% cheaper to live in than the rest of the nation on average. Where this can break down though for some Tennessee residents is that Tennessee itself is on average about 11% cheaper than the rest of the nation on average. And so when compared to the rest of the state, you are definitely paying more to live in Music City. One of the things that is added to the increasing cost of living here is Nashville's growing population. How fast are we growing though? Well, pre-pandemic as well as now in 2023, Nashville has grown by about 100 people moving here every single day, making it among the 10 fastest growing major metros in the US. This has definitely caused a continuous and surprising increase in housing costs over the last decade. Those who have invested in buying real estate in Nashville are continuing to see growth in their investments. And I can't complain since I am a homeowner here. But as one of the commenters on my channel has pointed out, the rent might be too dang high for many people here. With all that growth comes change, and also one of Nashville's less appealing issues because we have lots of construction. Now, to be fair, I have been in places in the US where there's more construction happening than in Nashville, and it was more intrusive there. But Nashville definitely has a lot of construction, and it seems never ending. There's always a positive side to issues like this, as it's a symptom of not only growth in Nashville's population, but also its booming economy. And spoiler for later, I have something to tell you about Nashville's economy that may shock you. Regardless, there are definitely places around Nashville where the construction is definitely an eyesore. And I hear complaints pretty regularly about areas around Nashville that were once beautiful stretches of nature being overtaken by new developments. And so it's something you have to know about living in Nashville. Now, I just mentioned it and I talk about it on this channel so much because it's worth repeating, and that's Nashville's natural beauty. Tennessee is a gorgeous state with its rolling hills, serene lakes, and abundant trails. Thankfully, though we do have a lot of construction, there still remains an abundance of undisturbed natural beauty in Nashville, making this metropolis live up to the Tennessee reputation. With the natural splendor of places like the Cheekwood Gardens, Warner Parks, and Percy Priest Lake, and several more wonderful locations I could name off to enjoy the natural beauty of Nashville, I'm just gonna highlight my favorite, Radnor Lake. I really love walking the trails of Radnor Lake and spotting the abundant wildlife, or looking out over the lake's tranquil waters. It's an incredibly peaceful spot and a perfect representative of what Nashville, Tennessee has to offer nature lovers. All this natural beauty combined with Tennessee's unique topography, weather patterns, and other factors does present one consistent problem for Nashville residents though, and that's the allergies. Known as one of the 30 allergy capitals in the US, Nashville has many residents who suffer during allergy season. There is an abundance of pollen-producing flora here, and while I personally have never had issues with allergies in the past, since moving to Nashville, I've noticed that I get a sneezy, runny nose pretty often. Before you move to Nashville, if you do suffer from allergy issues, make sure to take this into account and keep your Claritin handy. Now, as I mentioned before, the weather patterns here are one of the factors that cause our allergy issues, but let's dig more in depth concerning Nashville's weather. The first thing you should know about Nashville's weather is that we do experience all 4 seasons here. Nashville is in what is called a humid subtropical climate, and that simply means we have hot and humid summers and relatively mild winters. The hot summers are the things that residents complain about most when it comes to the weather here, but as a former Floridian, I've had much worse. You may have also heard that Nashville is in Tornado Alley, and that's not true at all. It's in Dixie Alley, which is still an area of the country known for having the higher than average occurrence of tornadoes. Nashville weather is also humorously or frustratingly unpredictable. My conclusion about that fact depending on my mood on a given day. Overall though, I actually love Nashville weather, as its year-round high of 70 degrees and average low of 49 degrees means I rarely have to change clothes to go outside. There is so much more to know about Nashville weather though, which is why I made a video about it on this channel. So check it out in the description of this video after you watch this one if you'd like to learn more. Something else I absolutely love about Nashville besides the weather is the incredible food scene, because Nashville has one of the best culinary scenes in the nation. Our famous local dish is Nashville hot chicken, which I adore. But past that, there is a variety of cuisine from just about any cultural heritage you can think of. From fine dining to greasy spoon, you're gonna find some of the best meals you've ever tasted in Nashville. My personal favorite is the Thai food here in Nashville, especially at a hidden gem known as Siam Cafe. Some of my other favorites here include Hattie B's, the Loveless Cafe, and Pancake Pantry. If you are a foodie considering a move to Nashville, I promise, at least in this regard, Nashville won't disappoint. But what might disappoint you about Nashville? Well, if you're anything like me, you'll either learn to love or tolerate this next part, because while Nashville has a diverse musical culture, it still remains the world's capital for country music. From places like the Grand Ole Opry, promoting and showcasing the world's best country musicians, to the honky-tonks lining Broadway, you are going to hear and feel the country music influence everywhere in Nashville. Yes, we definitely have a robust music scene here that can satisfy most musical tastes, but just know if country music and the surrounding culture isn't your thing, you can't really escape being exposed to it when you live here. For all you country music lovers watching, Nashville is your mecca, with places like the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Johnny Cash Museum, as well as the aforementioned honky-tonks such as Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. You will find no shortage of fun and exciting ways to experience all that country music has to offer in Nashville. Now, with all this talk of country music, you may be happy to know that living here also offers that wide open country feel, as Nashville has a great mix of urban, suburban, and rural living. I have friends and clients I've met with in so many diverse locations around Nashville, and I love that we have so many options of lifestyle here. Whether it's a high-rise condo downtown, a peaceful suburban home with a white picket fence, or a secluded cabin on 20 acres, you will find the perfect home to suit your needs within the Nashville metro. Now, I've talked a lot about the diversity of food and culture in Nashville, and the political leanings here are similarly diverse. Don't get me wrong, Tennessee is a decidedly red state politically, but Nashville is one of the most left-leaning cities in the state. It's also worth noting that Tennessee, and Nashville by proxy, falls within the Bible Belt, which certainly has a political impact. What this may mean for you if you move here is pretty subjective, but I can say for my part and from my experience that Nashville is a city where most people seem to feel welcome and not ostracized for their particular beliefs, because everyone is able to find their own tribe. Let's also talk about what I call the 3 T's of living in Nashville, starting with Nashville's taxes. The first thing you should know is that Tennessee does not levy a state income tax, a feature of the tax code here that I'm definitely a fan of. The property taxes here are also quite reasonable, with Tennessee ranking as having the 15th lowest property taxes in the US. Where that is all made up for, in part, is the sales tax here. In Nashville proper, the sales tax rate is 9.25% on most purchases except food, though you will be paying full tax at a restaurant, with some areas around the Nashville metro having a sales tax as high as 9.75%. Overall, I can't really complain about the taxes in Nashville, but I will admit it hurts sometimes when I make a big purchase to see that final total on a sales receipt. T number 2 is a blessing and a curse for life in Nashville: the tourism. The streets of downtown Nashville are frequently crowded with tourists looking to have the Music City experience, and the housing around town has begun to be occupied by short-term renters who are just here for an exciting weekend. Tourism does, of course, help local business thrive, but it's just something you need to know about Music City because the crowds of tourists Nashville draws are only likely to increase as time goes on. And I'm almost at 2 of the best things about living in Nashville, including my absolute favorite thing about living here. But first, I need to share with you what's probably the worst thing about living in Nashville, and that's T number 3, Nashville's traffic. With all of our growth and tourism, it was inevitable that this would cause traffic issues in our fine city. Nashville doesn't have the worst traffic in the US by any means. In fact, it's nowhere near the top of most highly trafficked cities, but it is the city with the worst traffic in Tennessee. And unfortunately, the traffic has begun to bleed out into the suburbs, including areas pretty far away from Nashville proper, like my town of Spring Hill. Thankfully, the Nashville highways and infrastructure are well kept and provide a network of roads that allow for many direct and indirect ways to get around the city. But there's just no getting around the fact that life here comes with time spent in traffic jams and a fair amount of car accidents. Now, here's a bit of interesting trivia for you. Did you know that one of Nashville's nicknames is the Athens of the South? That's because of Nashville's commitment to education. Nashville has a variety of schooling options for its residents and provides everything one needs to thrive and chase the American dream. Of particular note is the Williamson County School District, known as the best school district in the state, as well as the universities around Nashville, especially Vanderbilt, which often ranks among the top 20 institutions of higher learning in the US. If you are looking to be an entrepreneur, get into the trades, music, business, or the arts, the educational pathway to those goals is laid out here in Nashville. And it's one of the things I love about Nashville so much, especially since I recently became a father. But the thing I love most about Nashville is the job market, because the opportunities here are so abundant that they have allowed my family to thrive in the Nashville economy. In fact, Nashville was recently ranked by the Wall Street Journal as the #1 job market in the country. Industries like healthcare, tech, automotive, education, hospitality, and of course, real estate are all thriving here. And like I alluded to before, I believe Nashville provides a place for just about anyone to pursue the American dream. So yeah, for this reason and more, I'm probably never leaving Nashville. The city may or may not be for you, but again, if you're considering a move to Nashville, reach out and I'd be honored to help. There are more problems with living in Nashville that I didn't cover in full here though, so check out this video next. Thanks for allowing me to share with you about Nashville, and I certainly hope to Tennessee you soon.